Sweater, could you all rise, please?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give a roll call, please.
Mayor. Here. Adams. Here. Secord. Here. Townsend.
Here.
Parker here. Williams.
Here.
Licker.
Here.
All set. Next, you have approval of the minutes of July 5, 2022 regular meeting. Well, let's adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Any questions at all? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Now we'll do the approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of July 5th, 2022, regular meeting as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. We haven't had a chance to review it, any changes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No special orders tonight. Next, we have public comment. If you'd like to make public comment, come up to the podium, please.
Hi, Lucia here. I have a couple things to address because it's been brought to my attention. Whenever the township has had to have work done by anybody outside in the area or even within, that we take bids. And it was told to me that people are afraid to give bids because if they are having some type of personality conflict with this board, they won't get the job even if they're low bids. So I'm hoping you guys get over whatever's going on and that you go along with the low bids because you always have. And there's only been a couple of circumstances that I know of which you have to call somebody back. As long as they can do the work and do a good job, go by the professional work ethics. Another thing, there's a problem in the township. The township's been an uproar for 1.5 years. Not just the whole township, the board, the people that work here, the employees. There's a problem. And whatever, and I'm sure all of you understand what it is, because it needs to be addressed. It needs to be brought to a head. This community needs to be brought back together. Because every time I talk to somebody, whether it's a president, a business owner that talks to me, I say, come to the township meeting. They'll go, no, we're afraid of the rebuttals. We don't want somebody coming back at us and causing us problems. The employees and all departments are not happy because of what is going on. So, and when they are happy, and when people come into the township office to do business, and they hear screaming and yelling back and forth, not just females, not just men, it's both. When they hear that going on, that upsets the community because all that gets out. So you need to address what's going on and straighten all this out. You know, I've been told, yeah, we know. Well, we know doesn't do it. Somebody's got to get the kahunas and get it done.
All set, thank you. else like to make public comment?
That'd be me. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, right?
Okay, for you who don't know me, Roger Rosales. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Brenda, congratulate you when you got appointed, congratulated you when the governor appointed you your position, congratulate you today. Before I know it, you may be sitting right there, we're all kids, you're moving right along. Now, when I started off on this endeavor and threw my name in, I decided, well, I'm going to put my name out there for the people to decide what they want to do. So I put up some banners and I put up some signs when people would call me and they wanted the signs. I got contacted by TV5 for a platform and interview, and I was like, no. Then I get contacted by Labor Council for a sit-down interview, and I said no. Then I was approached to get on Facebook and go knock on doors and campaign. I said no. I said I did my job. I got on the ballot and I put my name out there. We'll see what the people of Bridgeport are going to say. Well, the results came in. Quite impressive. On the website, it shows the results, and it shows in the write-ins, 147, which don't mean squat, but it showed what people wanted, but they couldn't. And I talked to the Saginaw County clerk today, and they've educated me on this process, which I don't know anything about, how you get into write-in ballots, independents, Democrat, Republicans. And I'm learning as I go, and I'm seeing a lot going to these meetings that I go to. It's quite interesting what I'm getting exposed to. And obviously from these results, these people are screaming for something, but they seem to not get to the avenue where we need to get, or I ain't figured out the way to get to the avenue to get where they want to get it, but I'm going to figure it out. I need some time. So I don't plan to go nowhere. I'm going to continue to come to every meeting I can. I plan to run again, and I plan to be involved in any function that they allow me in. Obviously, I've had a resume to be part of the Township Board, Commission, any openings since October 6th, the day after Brandel was appointed, because I was told the only way you can be considered is you have the application in, and he was the only one that had the application in. Ever since then, whatever openings have occurred, I have not had the credentials or been approached or been interviewed or anything. That's all right, because the people have already told me where they want me. So, with that said, that's all I got. Congratulations, Brandon. Until next time.
Thanks, Roger.
Just to be factual about that, Roger, there's been one appointment, and it was filled by a gentleman who had a lot of experience. I discussed that with you, and I told you why. Okay. Anyone else like to make public comment? Once again. Next we have presentations. Just quickly, Drew is here from the CAC committee, and you just want to give a quick report before we go into stuff. Okay.
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Patton. I'm the chair of the Citizen Advisory Committee, and we have an exciting day coming up on Saturday. This Saturday from 11 to 3 right here at the Township offices. The Community Day, we put a lot of work in organizing that, getting things together, and it's coming together. We'll have Bounce House, food vendor, Woody's Food Vendor, I believe is the name of the guy, doing hot dogs, Polish sausage, all sorts of good stuff. He'll be there. We'll have a drawing for a $100 gas card. So anybody that comes gets entered into the drawing. If you play some of the games, you can get another ticket. If you take a tour of the facilities, you get another ticket. Just kind of encouraging people to get involved in all of the activities that we have for folks. Free face painting for the kids. I think it's going to be free. Is that? Yeah. Free face painting for the kids. It's going to be a great day for people to come, get together, have a good time, sit with their friends, and get informed about the village proposal. The new numbers came out yesterday today. The official bond proposal is $5.5 million, down from over $7 million. They worked it out that it's $5 a month for the average taxpayer. As somebody that voted no on the millage proposal last time, and somebody who was adamant that we need to do something different, I am very pleased at the numbers. It's really exciting to see how we came together and were able to work out a lower cost for the taxpayers. I think that will be a huge, huge selling point. That it's just about $2 million cheaper than last time. It's affordable as a cup of coffee from Starbucks. It's really exciting to see that hopefully this will pass this time. Because we obviously need it, and hopefully people will see the needs, see the updated numbers, see what you guys work with on a daily basis, and hopefully we'll be able to have some good conversations on Saturday. I know several people have been talking on Facebook that are in the neighborhood watch group and a lot of that, and they're interested in coming and seeing and talking, and hopefully we'll be able to make a difference, because ultimately that's what matters, is talking with people, having people see what's going on, and coming together as a community. So I'm excited. Any questions, comments, concerns? I do want to make one thing, and this is kind of for all of you, for everybody here. We do need some volunteers from the community to come on Saturday to help out. Just kind of watch, make sure kids aren't killing themselves on the bounce house. Help out with ushering people through, maybe handing out tickets, handing out bottles of water, managing the flow of people. If you are here in town and available and want to help out the community, we could definitely use your help on Saturday from 11 to 3. Probably if you want to help with the setup, be here an hour earlier, clean up probably an hour after it's done. We could really use all the help that we can get from the community, so thank you in advance for that. Thank you for the opportunity to work on this project.
Thank you. Okay, next presentation, we have Stephanie Pena, redevelopment ready community module number 4. She's going to explain all about that.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me here tonight. Thank you, Michelle, for organizing the PowerPoint. So first off, I would just like to introduce myself. So I am Stephanie Pena, and I am the community planner for Bridgeport under the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program. Thank you. Yes, please remind me if you can't hear me. I'm a little bit soft-spoken. As many of you may be familiar, the Township had engaged in RRC as of August of 2020. Since that time, the Township has progressed amazingly in aligning with a variety of the best practices. Tonight, I'm going to specifically speak on best practice 4, there's a total of 6, and provide a bit of an update on the Township status in our program. So if you could please go next. So just a brief summary and an overview for those who may not be familiar. I wanted to sort of talk through what is a Redevelopment Ready Communities Program. So this is a program put forth by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation that aims to streamline planning, economic, and zoning initiatives within a community, as well as equip them with the tools to be proactive to garner greater investment into their community. So RRC has historically helped communities sort of address a variety of their municipal processes in conjunction with work. Oh, still?
Maybe try turning the mic a little bit.
Okay.
We're not hearing you back here very clearly.
Oh, no, I'm
No,
so sorry.
either talk in the mic, pick it up, do something.
Just move it down a little bit too, may help. Down. No, that'll work, yeah.
Is this better? Yeah. This feels funny. Okay, thank you.
Oh, hi there.
Sorry. Hello. So So sorry. I'll start over with what is the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program. So we are a toolkit that is put forth by the Michigan Economic Development Association that works to help communities align their planning, zoning, and economic development practices, in addition to helping equip communities with the proactive tools in order to garner more investments within their community. So the way that we do this is we encourage communities to abide by a certain best practices to really look at how they can streamline their development processes, how they can ensure that potential investors, including current business and landowners within the community, can easily find a way to reinvest in their community. So some of the best practices that we focus on within our toolkit, you can sort of see in this graphic above. So we encourage an increase of density, specifically within the downtown or in the township, say, concentrated areas of development. We encourage communities to introduce both vertical and horizontal mixed use, meaning encouraging them to put residential units on top of ground floor commercial units, sort of the historical development that we've seen in downtowns. We also try to encourage communities to increase diverse in housing typologies. So we're all aware that there is a housing shortage in the state of Michigan, and this can look different ways for each community, but we're talking about permitting townhomes or triplexes or quadplexes or sixplexes, 6-unit buildings, somewhere within the township to try to build density and encourage economic vitality and reactivation of the concentrated areas of development. There's a couple more, but one of the really cool things is sort of also introducing and encouraging placemaking, which is a planning and development tool that it is used to sort of increase the activation of public space. So it could be having art in your community, it could be doing really cool outdoor flexible spaces, having more walkable streets and sidewalks. There's a variety of things. So at its core, we do have a variety of best practices to try to sort of activate these concentrated areas of business, but it looks different for every community. So what Bridgeport is going to do is look very different from what the city of Saginaw is doing right now. But ultimately, we just want to encourage that strong economic investment continues to happen in the township, and the township is equipped in order to market themselves and to call in investors to make that progress happen. Next, thank you, Michelle. So, not to dive too much in the weeds, but this is providing an update on where the township stands within the RRC toolkit. So we build upon 6 best practices that you can see below, and you can see how a variety of them just focus on municipal processes as well as zoning, and the focus of today, best practice 4, really focuses on boards and commissions. So for the certified pathway, the township is currently aligned with 41% of the expectations, which is amazing because you guys have made such a tremendous progress even within the past year since Michelle was brought on as a CEDAR Fellow and Adriana started engaging with Bill in the program. So what's really exciting is that in the graphic above, green denotes alignment and yellow means things that are still in progress. It should be noted that there's a couple of ongoing projects that are expected to be completed within the next several months that will increase this score significantly. So one of the more important things that are happening right now is the progress on the economic development strategy that your municipal staff was able to get not only funding from our MEDC, but also a US EDA grant, which was a great success. So that would help align 5.1 and 5.2. And I know these numbers don't mean much, but it sort of just designates that the economic development strategy, along with some formalizations of potential development incentives, will be completed soon. And then additionally, Michelle, the CEDAR Fellow, has been working and is currently in conversations with the Planning Commission on publishing or formalizing and adopting the township's first full 6-year capital improvement plan, which is, you guys are all familiar, that 6-year outward-looking plan that sort of programs the capital expenditures that the township is looking to invest in. And then additionally, Michelle has worked on a guide to development, which is going to be a public-facing guide that will help outside investors, business owners, navigate the township's development process. So what is needed to submit a development application? What are the fees associated? What resources? What zoning ordinance? That she's condensed it all in a guide, and that's going to be finalized, and that will help the township sort of align with about most of best practice 3. So that's a lot, but the outlook for what the township has been doing has been amazing. Do you have any questions just yet about what has happened before or about the RRC toolkit? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead to best practice 4. And please feel free to interrupt at any moment to sort of ask any questions or for points of clarification. But like I mentioned earlier, the main focus for tonight is best practice 4, which is an overview on boards and commissions within our community. So what RRC looks is that a community is conducting their board and commission recruitment, orientation, and training of both prospective and current appointed and elected officials. So that's high level what we're sort of looking at. What we try to employ with this best practice is to ensure that municipalities have strong procedures, that they implement succession planning, and that they have a strategic approach to training. So specifically, when we're speaking about boards and commissions, RRC is looking at development-related boards and commissions. So for the township, that includes you all, the township board, in conjunction with the Downtown Development Association, the Planning Commission, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. The reason that boards and commissions fall under the purview of RRC is because through various respective powers, these collections of boards and commissions actually have a huge impact on the development process within the township. So the Planning Commission conducts the site plan reviews. The DDA sort of prioritizes various projects within the downtown district boundary, as well as provide potential incentives. And then you all sort of approve, formalize and approve the use of any incentive dollars within the township for development. So with all that involvement, best practice 4 really focuses on ensuring that there's proper recruitment, there's orientation of the board members, and that there's continual training to ensure that everyone is abreast to the understanding how to best perform their role. So I won't get again too into the weeds, but if you're curious, there's 7 expectations within best practice 4. We're only going to review 2 today, but at the high level, that's sort of at the core what it is. So to understand why it matters, there's a couple of different things to keep in mind. So like I've already mentioned, because the boards and commissions within the downtown play a significant role in how the development of the township plays out, it's important to sort of ensure that all the processes within their respective boards and commissions are sort of tightened up and sort of looking forward for making sure that future members on this, on the various boards and commissions are well trained and understand sort of what tools they have at hand in order to perform their roles successfully. An important facet of implementing best practice 4 is recruitment. And recruitment is essential because we want to ensure that the boards and commissions within the township reflect the diversity that is seen within the township. So the diversity of perspectives that we also often see in communities, we want to ensure that that is also reflected within the board, because that then will play out into the decisions that are being made within the community. A lot of times when we're talking about processes within various municipalities, sometimes we work, RRC specifically works with communities that don't necessarily operate their boards and commissions with bylaws, or maybe they don't have a formal orientation process. And what we've seen is that, unfortunately, what this does with those communities is they're not as efficient as they potentially could be. So something that we really try to encourage is that once you're able to formalize these processes, it not only reinforces sort of consistency, but it also helps succession planning to ensure that if and when there's board turnover, there is not sort of a lapse in and efficient money that the township board can continue going, or the planning commission can continue going, or whatever case it may be. When we're talking about implementation of a variety of the best practice for expectations, a lot of them innately ground themselves in encouraging greater communication between the boards and the public. So this in turn is really important because it helps build public trust in the municipality as well as in the various elected and appointed officials within the township. So we all understand how difficult being on the board can be. You guys are often faced with making challenging decisions while trying to balance both the township's diverse interests while keeping in mind sort of the township's capacity as well as the future vision. So it can be very challenging to do these sorts of roles when you're making these important decisions. And it can be even more challenging when unfortunately we are faced with misinformation coming from within and around the community. So one thing that's really important is ensuring that there's solutions at play that can try to help increase the communication between the boards and the public, and this can happen in a variety of ways. So we've seen communities try to increase this through better meeting minutes. So this can happen through ensuring that not only are clear and diligent meeting minutes taken at each board and commission meeting, but they're also posted online so that they're easy to view, because not only does this provide a historical archive of the conversations that happened and where people are in important decisions, but it also is sort of a fact checker for potential misinformation that could come from sort of like a he said, she said situation following any important decision. Another important thing that could be implemented is having documented sort of like a code of conduct. So how do you expect your boards and commissions to act? Well, how would you expect them to portray themselves in public and things of that nature? So having that in place allows you to be able to lay out the expectations for the people who are serving on behalf of the township. And lastly, just having consistent messaging, ensuring that everyone across the variety of boards and municipal staff are all abreast to the important successes going on in the township, any potential conflicts, so that messaging can remain consistent at all times, are elements that all help facilitate, bless you, community trust and ultimately increase communication, which is very beneficial. And then lastly, in regards to training, so we sort of already mentioned this a couple of times, but training is super essential, and I think it comes into play when municipalities are facing very community-specific problems. So we have communities that are really struggling with housing their workforce. So they have large industries, but they're trying to attract new industries, but are unable to do so because they don't have the houses to house potential future workers. So certain industries will just leave or not decide to invest in that community. We have other communities that have issues with flooding, or those with rising sea levels. So there's a bunch of different things for lake walls. There's a bunch of different issues that can be very township specific, that ensuring that training goals are outlined and identified early on, the township will be able to ensure that all of the various boards and commissions are able to act on certain issues from a very well-informed standpoint and with the tools of the best solutions at hand. So, I know this is getting a little bit long, so I do apologize, but I wanted to spend a moment just to talk about just 2 best practice expectations. And I believe, do you all have the examples from the Village of Roscommon and North Branch with you? Is that provided to you guys? Okay, so we're going to go through those together. And this is just a moment for us, for me to provide you examples of how other communities have implemented alignment with the RRC toolkit. So specifically, best practice 4.1, it is in regards to the recruitment process. So how is the township publicizing open positions for various boards and commissions? How are you outlining what the application process is like? And how are you ensuring that you're recruiting a diverse set of perspectives? So a great example actually comes from the Village of Roscommon. So what we see on this page is first on the upper left-hand corner, and that it's supposed to be yellow, but the little square, it highlights what the expectation is. So we want to see the township post their board and commission application online in conjunction with their appointment process. So Village of Roscommon is a great community that highlights how they've been able to do it. So this is just a screenshot of their website, and what it indicates is their board and commission webpage that has a series of hyperlinks. The bottom collection is to all their boards and commissions, and the top two are the ones that we're going to be looking at today. So the top link is what is document B in your set, but it's the procedure for appointment for boards and commissions, and then the second link is their application, which is document A within your packet. This is important because it just highlights how, one, simple it can be to just hyperlink your documents online, but two, that RRC is very flexible with implementation. So however you want to fulfill this, you don't have to have fillable online PDFs. It can be documents that are printed off and submitted in person. So this is a good one because it's super straightforward. So looking at document A, which is their application, this is a great example of an application, and this is where the township can have a bit of creativity and flexibility for what they want to include in their application. But what's great about this is that it's a PDF document that exists online, and it can be printed off by the interested party and submitted directly to the village offices in this case. But when you look on page 2, within each segment of specific boards and commissions, they outline desired skill sets and desired experience. So this is an area where you all, as the municipalities / the various boards and commissions, could get together and identify what are these interested skill sets that we want to see, and ensure that our prospective board members are equipped with the skills and knowledge that will help our township make the decisions necessary in order to be successful. When we go to document B, this is that first hyperlink that looks at the application, the appointment process. So this is essentially, so what we like to see is oftentimes different communities have different ways to appoint a person to a board and commission. This is just the formalization of that process, and it's posted online so that other people in the community can understand what the process is and what they can expect from that process, how long it's going to be, who's going to review their application, if their application will be kept on hand, if they should expect communication regarding their application. All of that is outlined here. So what's great is on page 2, there is sort of a list of what is the application process, and it walks through sort of what the applicant should expect. So this is something that the township similarly could implement, and it can be, it could formalize a process that exists already, or you guys could consider implementing a new process that best fits what you guys are looking for. But the village, their collection of both the web page and then these two conjoining documents are what fulfills 4.1. Does anybody have a question? Great. So the last one that I just wanted to talk about briefly was best practice 4.6. So this is regarding the training strategy that was mentioned a bit earlier. So this is from the village of North Branch. This is their training strategy from 2021. And like I mentioned earlier, this is addressing development-related boards and commissions. So the board, the DDA, the PC, and the ZBA, what are going to be what is the municipality's sort of goals in regard to training, and are there going to be any priority topics that both the municipality and the boards and commissions agree that need to be focused on? So if you look on page 2, you can see that the Planning Commission, that they identified, because of the needs of their community, that they want to look at missing middle housing, historic district preservation standards, as well as just sort of keeping track of their various site plan reviews that they process. So this is a really good way at being able to outline and ensure that township board and commissions are sort of, again, abreast to important solutions and research that can help them make decisions on some of those community-specific do tend to arise. And then this is sort of the end of the presentation. Just wanted to present the information as the township staff, as well as potentially some of the board members may assist in formalizing documents and creating processes in order to get the township aligned. Like I mentioned, the township has been doing great at progressing in RRC, and best practice 4 is going to be one of the last ones that need to be tightened up in order to get the township to certification. But at its core, the processes or expectations put forth in best practice 4 will really ensure that there is great succession planning within the township, that board members are well trained. But I do also want to remind you all that RRC is not trying to be super prescriptive. We're very flexible in the implementation. So Michelle, Adriana, and Bill are very familiar with how we can sort of navigate the intent of expectations and find what best fits the township, because at its core we want to make sure the township is realizing the vision you all have put forth in your foundational plans. So please feel free to think about this, and I'd be happy to take any questions if you all have any.
Stephanie, I have a question.
Yeah.
For municipalities that have implemented some of the best practices that you laid out, have you seen any impact on engagement and participation, particularly on the boards and commissions, and have you seen any positive impact on economic growth?
Yeah, that's definitely like a two-part question. So I'll answer the first part in regards to any increase of board participation, and we definitely see that. I think every community across Michigan has seen challenges with trying to recruit community members to their boards and commissions. So you tend to see older boards or people that have maybe a little bit more free time to participate, and what you see are a lot of younger people, people with disabilities, people with families that aren't super engaged on the board because they don't feel like it's accessible to them. So when we've seen a couple of communities that have tried to, I know Canton is a really good example, and so is Saline. So they both, and every community is different, but they actually televise their, or they post onto YouTube their board and commission meetings. They're very clear in their meeting minutes about the decisions being made, who spoke, in order to keep track of that historical archive. And they try to do that to start to increase awareness of what's going on and to build that relationship. I do have to say it takes a while. It's not something that is going to be reflected in a year's time. It takes a couple years, but the township's development of the CAC has been a tremendous progress from what I understand, and seeing communities implement committees such as that, that's where we start to see greater community investment and greater public trust, because the more and more that people see themselves on the boards or see themselves within these communities, the more likely that they're going to want to engage. And then in regards to increase of economic development, it's sort of what I mentioned earlier, because the Planning Commission and the board and at certain times the ZBA plays such an integral role in determining the experience that a developer has within a township. We want to ensure that the processes at play are very streamlined and it's a very user-friendly experience. And in order to get to that point, we have to ensure that the processes for recruitment, so recruitment is always the first step, that recruitment and that code of conducts and bylaws or rules of procedure are outlined clearly, so that and people are well trained so that everybody knows how to act within their scope. Sort of like the negative side of this all are boards and commissions that don't implement this, and they have a planning commission meeting that lasts for 5 hours, or a historic district commission meeting that lasts for 6 hours, because people are going outside the scope of the bounds of their review and making that process difficult for existing residents, for existing land and building owners, so then those people don't want to come back and put themselves in front of those particular boards or invest in the community. They'll go and spend their money somewhere else. So that's sort of like the bad side of it. So trying to implement these best practices is trying to prevent those things from happening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. A little more complex than a lot of people may think what they want on the boards and committees.
say it before the motion.
Sure.
Something I know, I mean, I see you do, but something I learned in a meeting we had with FTA is that it's better if we discuss what this motion's about before the town board members make a motion on it. I just have, same thing that Augie would say after the motion, I just like to see it done before the motion.
Sorry, I appreciate the learning process. Okay, so this was the language that will go on the ballot. Maybe you'd like to read it, Lee?
The motion. Oh, do you want me to read that?
It's up to you, however you think it should be done.
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying the comments that you would make to explain, you know, we've talked about before, you want to explain what this motion is about, because what we read in the
I
motion.
understand that.
Well, I'm just saying for the public too, the public
Because what's
doesn't.
going to go on the ballot in November, correct?
Right.
You want to read that? The language that'll be on the ballot. Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm just looking at what comments you would make after.
Maybe we can reverse it.
Yeah, I can read it.
Yeah, if you would, please.
This will be what's on the ballot in November 8th election. Shall the Charter Township of Bridgeport, County of Saginaw, Michigan, borrow the principal sum of not to exceed $5,500,000 and issue its general obligation unlimited tax bonds in one or more series payable over a period not to exceed 21 years from the date of issuance of each series, to provide funds to be used by the township for the purpose of paying all or part of the cost of acquiring, constructing, furnishing, and equipping a new municipal complex, including administrative, police department, and fire department facilities, together with related site improvements and apertures and attachments. If approved, the estimated millage to be levied in 2023 is 1.6 mils, which is $1.64 for each $1,000 of taxable value, and the estimated simple average annual millage rate required to retire the bonds is 1.52 mils, which is $1.52 for each $1,000 of taxable value.
Okay. Part of that too is Drew had mentioned that it was down a couple $1 million from the initial proposal that we had the last go around. Big part of that reduction is the money that we've gotten through the government ARPA funds, which is almost reduced it by almost $1 million. And we've been obviously working on trying to get it done as much as we possibly can. The county has funds. We've applied for some there, but that can't be directly for building a building. It has to be for other things that we're still, they're having meetings with the county to determine on the distribution of those monies per the request of a lot of the townships and that kind of stuff. So they've got a process that they have to go through first. But so anyway,
That's what I was looking for.
thank you. All right. Now we have Resolution R-2211 Municipal Complex Bond Proposal. Anybody have any questions or comments? Want to make a motion or whatever?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-22-11 Municipal Complex Bond Proposal, including ballot language for the November 8th, 2022 election as presented.
Motion has been made and supported. Do we have a roll call, please?
Secor?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes.
Parker, yes. Laker?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Thayer?
Yes.
All set. Next, we have 2022 sanitary sewer capital improvements. This is a project that Dan Billingsley, our supervisor in wastewater. Dan, can you make a comment on the details of that, please? Under the microphone.
Hello, everybody. Well, Dan Billingsley, Superintendent of Wastewater Treatment Division. In our asset management plan, sewer lining to defective sewers is part of our program as we initiated the plan. And what this year's project is lining approximately 5,450 feet of different size clay tile sanitary sewer mains. We did approximately 4,500 feet last year with the same company. The city form was awarded the bid, and then again this year I asked for a cost quote, which came back at almost $300,000, but they reneged on the quote because there was no way, with all the inflation and everything and the material costs have gone up, that they could honor that quote. So I put it back out for bid, and we only had one bidder come back, and that was the city form, with the quote of $373,000. But we added some more pipe in there from the original quote that they reneged on, and they were the only bidder who put it out there. And there's only 4 contractors that do it pretty much for the state of Michigan, and 2 of them are out of state. Now, the city form is top of the line contractor, and they did a good job for us. And basically, we're mandated with our asset management program to implement sewer lines so much every year. And recently this summer at Kroger's, the main in front of Kroger's collapsed. So what this sewer lining is doing is a trenchless project that reinforces the defects in the old clay pipe. And it has a 10-year warranty, but it has a 50-year life expectancy. So that's what you're seeing out of the original. We're basically doubling the original pipe's life expectancy. So all the areas that we're doing have been televised and CAPC video inspected, which logs all the defects. And so we're going in and addressing the most severe areas, which are on the north end of town, which is our highest inflow and infiltration during wet weather events. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I also recommend that we accept the bid and continue to make progress with approximately a mile a year of sewer being lined. It's a fraction of the cost of having to do excavation and trenching. Just for the 20 feet of sewer pipe we had to replace in front of Kroger's, initially it was around $35,000 to go that deep. And we're not done yet because we have to tear the blacktop out and put pavement down after it settles. Later this summer, we're going to do that, so that could be up to another $20,000. So we're looking at quite a chunk of change with excavation as compared to trenchless sewer lining, which $373,000, we're doing almost a mile. So in much needed areas.
Another factor, and you mentioned that to me previously, is that because of the settling and so forth underneath that spot you did by the exit to the appropriate.
Yeah, it's getting a little rough there.
So it's getting a little bumpy in case.
But that's good.
I'm sure they probably noticed, but that's why it's not going to stay
Yeah,
that
and
way.
the reason that we did it that way, there was a 10-inch AC water main right next to it, and we couldn't risk trying to get 95% compaction. We would definitely had a catastrophic event going.
Problem, find your problem.
Any questions?
Were you able to get there was a small discrepancy with the dollar amount, Danny? Were you able to get that taken care of?
What we'll do is, they left a line item blank, but the total was correct.
Yep.
And our engineer made contact with them. We'll write a change order when we sign the contracts next week on a pre-con video meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Ken.
Make a motion to approve recommended 2022 sanitary sewer capital improvement repairs as presented.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none. Move along. Next, we have the Township property bid at 3700 Williamson. This is a small piece of property right at Williamson there, the house that was right on the corner burned down. And the gentleman that owned it tore it down. And it's now available. This is the person that lives next door to that. There's nobody else in the building on that lot. We received a bid from Jordan Robinson, who lives at 3811 Williamson. Purchased Township property at 3700 Williamson Road, which is adjacent to his house. The parcel is assessed at $2,200. Robinson made an offer of $250 for the property. What'll happen is, it's the township's responsibility to take care of grass cutting and all those kind of things. And this is adjacent to the person's house, and this has happened numerous times over the years, where somebody's been able to buy parcels that are, whatever, so. Any questions? We have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the $250 bid from Jordan Robinson for the township property located at 3700 Williamson Road.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good to go. Next, we have accounts payable.
I will make a motion to approve checks number 69891 through 70002 in the amount of $347,332.98 as presented. Support.
Motion made and supported. Everyone had a chance to review it. Any questions, corrections, anything? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
be submitting reports, and they will be on the board minutes when they're posted online. Then we have the manager's report.
So my first update is on the economic development study, commercial market study, and residential target market analysis. Land Use USA has provided their second drafts of the market studies to us for review, including their narratives. CIB was provided with our comments on their second draft of the economic development study, and they are still incorporating them. And we're looking to schedule a final meeting to set the goals and objectives for the economic study within the next month. I also have, well, actually, I don't really have an update on the CAC because Drew already gave a great update, so thank you for doing that earlier. But just a reminder, Community Day is this Saturday from 11 to 3 p.m. And then I do have an update on the capital improvement plan that Michelle has been working on, which is required for the RRC certification. Last Thursday, July 28th, Michelle presented the draft CIP to the Planning Commission in an informational session where they could ask questions about it. It will go again to the Planning Commission at an August special meeting. And then I also have another update related to Michelle. She's going to be working on and submitting a Michigan Hope grant. This program provides weatherization and home improvement grants to eligible homeowners. And that application is due on August 15th. So it's coming up soon. And that's it. A pretty short report tonight.
Thank you. Next we have board comments. Roberta?
No comments, sir.
Man of the hour.
I hate to disappoint. No comments.
Kelvin?
Good evening. Just wanted to congratulate Stephanie on the presentation tonight. Hopefully, it was a well-done presentation, and hopefully we can really take the ball and solid man and try to meet that obligation. Very successful. Thank you.
You're up.
No comment.
Jimmy?
Oh, I have a comment either.
Lee?
Yeah, I think most people have seen where Bud Gilmore has passed away, and, you know, we're gonna do something for him in September. But I can't think of anybody in Bridgeport that would have the honor of being Mr. Bridgeport than Bud Gilmore. It's just a sad occasion.
I don't have a comment. Thank you. Motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
All those in favor, motion made, supported.